Many of you may already know this, but one of the biggest names responsible behind the scenes, pulling the strings, and doing it on camera for the 4-year, incredibly long and interesting story in WWE of the Bloodline is none other than Paul Heyman. He isn't just the on-screen special counsel to the tribal chief. He isn't just the Wiseman. He is believed to be the mastermind behind this story that has been called cinema by you Gen Z people who just discovered the word cinema. Yeah, get a thesaurus. Speak more words. When Solo Sikoa finished assembling the new Bloodline as we know it today, he demanded that Paul Heyman acknowledge him. And when he didn't because he believes in his tribal chief, he was slammed through a table in Madison Square Garden. Yeah, but a wise man always has a plan. What might be Paul Heyman's master plan behind the scenes and on the screens of WWE for the Bloodline? We're just speculating, and this is fun. This is Sportskeeda Wrestling. I'm Kevin Kellum. Give us your take in the comments below. Where is this all going? So what is Paul Heyman's master plan for the OG Bloodline? Join us as we dive into this and what possibly might be next for the Samoan wrestling family of WWE. The Bloodline Civil War, as we know it, keeps growing and getting increasingly bitter with so many different players involved and so much at stake. Although Solo Sikoa failed to become the WWE champion twice after taking over the Bloodline after Roman Reigns was humbled at the hands of Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania, Solo was unsuccessful at Bad Blood because Roman interfered, and there was a measure of revenge taken by Solo in his side, pinning the OTC at Crown Jewel, humbling him once again. Roman got pinned? How can this happen? Yes, oh yes, Roman is no longer untouchable. He is vulnerable. He needs help. The Usos are back together on his side, but they don't seem to be on the same page. Sami Zayn is involved. It's a lot of upheaval, and the momentum could be on Solo's side as we build to a big War Games Survivor Series match between OG Bloodline and Solo's Bloodline. It might be a twisted tale, and it might be one that is certainly being put together by Heyman himself. Let's look at where we are right now and where we think it could go. This is where the speculation comes in. Since April, Roman Reigns lost the Undisputed Universal Championship, and the subsequent absence of him left a vacuum of power that Solo has taken over. Wasting no time, Solo took his first steps by taking out the man he considered a weak link, Jimmy Uso. That gives Uso a reason, Jimmy, to come back and get back with his brother. Solo brought in the adopted son of Haku, Tama Tonga. While everyone was anticipating Jacob Fatu jumping over from MLW, it was Tongaloa who became Solo's next addition. And on an episode of SmackDown in Chicago at the famed All-State Arena, Jacob Fatu finally made his presence known, completing the new lineup, wrecking the reigning WWE Universal Champion Cody Rhodes, splashing him through a table in shocking fashion, maybe one of the biggest debuts in recent WWE history, and the 3 new Bloodline members assembled, loyal to Solo. We love you, Solo! Yes, I saw the debut live in person. It sucked the air out of that former arena known as the Rosemont Horizon. It was something special. And although some have speculated that Jacob Fatu could be outshining Solo, that's not the point. WWE is sticking to the plan, yes, and Solo is being despised in all of it, and that's the idea. There isn't any trace of Jacob Fatu turning on him yet, and so many of you are fantasy booking that, but maybe we'll get to that in this video. Stick around. At some point, either around or maybe even at Survivor Series War Games in Vancouver, just weeks from now as I record this, Paul Heyman could be brought in to put on an on-screen plan for the OG Bloodline, which now has also the honorary Uso, Sami Zayn, involved, taking on Solo's side of the Bloodline. Heyman being added to the Bloodline mix right before the cage comes down, maybe on a SmackDown or a Raw before Survivor Series, is a hell of a way to hype up the show and really go home with it and nail it in Vancouver. Now, Heyman in his role could simply whisper one thing he needs out of Roman, Jimmy, Jay, or even Sami to win that big multi-man cage match. Now, what favors, though, would that do for Solo's group to continue this storyline and maybe even bend it into WrestleMania season. The cage descends in Vancouver, British Columbia for War Games. Heyman next to the cage, holding in the group of Roman, Jimmy, Jay, and Sammy as they come out. But who will also help Solo's side? Dun, 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 dun. Enter The Rock. You bring in a Wiseman, we raise it with a final boss. Chaos ensues in the cage. The Rock's influence, though minimal, not exactly in the match, helps Solo and the new Bloodline overtake Roman and his crew once more. Jacob Fatu shines inside the cage, eliminating and dispensing most of the OG Bloodline before sinking off Roman at the end, with The Rock playing a very physical role. This would also tie up that loose end of whether or not The Rock is loyal to Roman or loyal to this new Bloodline. Heading into WrestleMania season, that matters with a different story as well. Oh yes, the layers here, the layers. Can you smell? La 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 la, what we're fantasy booking? In the months leading up to WrestleMania though, Paul Heyman is able to soothe the savage Samoan werewolf that is Jacob Fatu in backstage segments, able to pull him aside, calm him down. This isn't us having a conflict, me just having a conversation with you, Jacob. In the weeks and months leading up to WrestleMania, with Solo Sikoa pursuing a massive championship opportunity against whoever may be the World Heavyweight Champion. That's right, he's away from the Universal title picture. Let Roman, Cody, and The Rock worry about that scenario, right? Solo finds himself in a massive career-defining match, a triple threat match, against the man he put on the shelf before, John Cena, on his farewell tour, and the World Heavyweight Champion, Gunther. Yes, a real opportunity for Solo to once again disrupt the pecking order in front of him and become a world champion. Jacob Fatu at his side. Jacob Fatu not in a WrestleMania match, but having a WrestleMania moment. Turning on Solo at WrestleMania, costing him the World Heavyweight Championship. Maybe John Cena wins it and breaks the record. Maybe Gunther keeps it and retains it. But the moment we want to focus on here is Jacob Fatu saying, no more. No longer do I love you, Solo. I love the wise man, Paul Heyman. And it is revealed at WrestleMania on the grandest stage of the all, the true treachery of Paul Heyman. In the wake of this, in a post-WrestleMania haze, there is more going on here with Paul Heyman's new Paul Heyman guy. We'll be a little bit more dramatic. You can see Paul Heyman announce that he's mutually parting ways with Roman Reigns. A peaceful exit on good terms, yes. He's emotional, but a wicked smile takes his face. And the next step, using Jacob Fatu to take out The Rock and Roman Reigns in what is supposed to be a peaceful meeting, but wreckage and chaos like we've never seen before. This launches Jacob Fatu, who has now destroyed one of the biggest movie stars in the world, the beloved Roman Reigns, and turned on Solo into a new monster of Paul Heyman's creation. This would create several open endings for several major feuds for Jacob Fatu to ascend into and jump once again the pecking order, but do it in a legitimate way. Jacob Fatu is announced as the new Paul Heyman guy in this single segment, and he would set up all of that moving forward. The Rock would go on his normal post-WrestleMania hiatus. Roman Reigns would be assaulted to the point where he's out on a stretcher, giving him a way to be out of the picture. In the WWE draft, Jacob Fatu would also move over to Raw on Netflix, taking Paul Heyman with him. Just like that, it would instantly make him the biggest threat in WWE, maybe the guy to take out Cody Rhodes for the WWE Universal Championship. By that point, you're at SummerSlam. Triple H and his creative team love long-term booking, and we've gotten ourselves all the way into August of 2025. That would be how Paul Heyman would extend his legacy by leading another massive superstar monster, a beast, if you will, of the modern age, to World Championship glory. Just imagine he's been at the side of Brock Lesnar, CM Punk, Roman Reigns, and now the new modern-day version of that. This would be the next logical step to build another superstar, but also do it in a legitimate way and do it fast. It may suck to not see him at Roman Reigns' side anymore, but with Roman really not being a week-to-week player, what would the purpose of Paul Heyman being with him only now and then really do? He's with Jacob Fatu, who's there all the time. Isn't it more meaningful? Isn't it more purposeful? Doesn't it have more presence in WWE's active week-to-week storylines? So what do you think? Do you think the wise man has any other tricks up his sleeve? Let us know in the comments below.